You ever ask yourself, what if the people who made Fallout made the same kind of game, but in space? No, not that one. This one. Starfield is the much-hyped brand new IP from Bethesda Game Studios. It aims to allow players to freely explore and interact with its numerous star systems. The game somewhat achieves this, but it still has some major flaws that just didn't sit well with us. So join us here today as we give our review of Bethesda's newest title, Starfield. This is the video version of a review on our website, links in the description below. In the year 2330, in a fictional area of space called the Settled Systems, which is a region far out in the cosmos that has supported many thriving colonies, our protagonist works for Argus Extractors, an interstellar mining company. After a routine excavation, the protagonist encounters a mysterious artifact that gives them strange visions. One out-of-body experience later, they're woken up by their fellow miners, and this leads to your character creation. The story then continues as you deliver the artifact to a client named Barrett. Trouble ensues when one of the main enemy factions ambushes the deal, leading into an introduction to the game's combat mechanics. After killing every enemy, Barrett will tell you that you're destined for greater things.
Oh, and hey, take this. You'll find it very useful out there. And it even tells the time.
And will loan you his ship along with his droid to aid you in your journey across the universe. If you felt that to be abrupt and a bit generic, you're not alone. The beginning hook of Starfield's main story is very weak, and can make the first 3 or so hours a bit of a slog. It picks up a bit after a certain point, but it never piques your interest outside a mission or two near the end of the main quest.
Look at how it's coming together. That energy that's arcing between them, no manufactured material in the settled systems can do that. None of them.
It was a story, and that's all we can really say about it. The saving grace for the story in the game were its side quests. For example, if you get arrested in any territory of the United Colonies, which are one of the major factions in the game, you'll be asked to go undercover and infiltrate the ranks of the Crimson Fleet, which are the space pirates in this game. You can either accept their offer or refuse. Refusing makes the United Colonies officials hate you, but leaves you open to an invitation to join the said pirate fleet. In our opinion, these side quests are way more engaging than the main storyline, because of the well-written plots and interesting characters. To be fair, the main questline had 1 or 2 missions that made great use of Starfield's strengths, but otherwise it was largely unremarkable. Starting with character creation, the game gives you tons of options when building your character. As with most Bethesda and really large open world games, you can easily spend an hour or two tweaking the most minute facial features to get that perfect look. Aside from the cosmetics, you're also given options for your background and traits. Choosing a background gives you your starting skills, while traits kind of act as your modifiers throughout the game. As for the skill system, you can think of them as perks. As said previously, choosing a background gives you 3 skills. For example, if you choose the Bounty Hunter background, you'll start off with 2 ship abilities and early access to the boost pack, while something like Diplomat focuses on a more silver-tongued approach, giving skills such as Persuasion and Commerce.
You really believe that? Can't believe I'm saying this. But if it'll get you out of my hair, then fine. They're in the other room, here. Key.
You'll be able to level these perks up, but it's not as simple as just investing points in them. To rank these up, you'll have to complete certain milestone objectives associated with the said skill. For example, in the boost pack's case, you'll have to use it multiple times during combat, and only then will you be able to purchase the following upgrades. Traits, on the other hand, spice up your overall playthrough by giving you positive and negative modifiers. For example, having the wanted trait lets other bounty hunters hunt you down, but it also gives you a damage buff when dealing with more opponents. Starfield also has a variety of different weapons, from knives to assault rifles, and just like Fallout 4, offers a workbench for you to upgrade these weapons by equipping attachments or mods onto them. The gunplay mechanics and shooting are pretty decent, better than it was in Fallout 4, and although the VATS mechanic isn't present, everything else is still here. Engage the enemy, get a headshot or 2, then loot. It's a simple gameplay loop that anyone can get into. However, the way damage from firearms is handled by Starfield is ridiculous. Weapons and enemies you find are scaled relative to your level. So early in the game, you'll find some guns that will make you feel like you're shooting rubber bands rather than bullets. Combined with bullet-spongy enemies on higher difficulties, the game becomes more of a tedious exercise as you eat through numerous ammo magazines to take down just one enemy.
Are you familiar with ship combat tactics? Because that's a Crimson Fleet ship bringing its weapons to bear.
It wouldn't be a space game without spaceships, and Starfield's shipbuilding and dogfighting gameplay are, thankfully, really solid. The ships handle really well, and there's this mechanic where you have to prioritize which subsystem of your ship you will be routing power to. You can kill almost all the subsystems except the engine to remain stealthy in space, or divert maximum power to shields and weapons to deal as much damage to the enemy as possible. It's like faster than light's gameplay mechanics, but made in real-time action. There's also a great deal of customization when it comes to these ships, and these changes affect both gameplay and cosmetics. Your starting ship might not look like much at first, but you can design it in a way that truly makes it your own, by placing in different weapons, cockpits, boosters, thrusters, and so much more. All these play a factor in not only how your ship looks, but also how it functions, as things like weight and mobility play a big factor when it comes to dogfighting. While spaceships are really cool, the space exploration that comes after that unfortunately leaves much to be desired. This is where our biggest gripe with Starfield comes in. For a game that heavily emphasizes the glory and excitement of space exploration, you really aren't exploring space as much as it is a series of menus. While you are technically able to spend hours flying to another planet, there's no real incentive or reason to do so. Fast traveling will get you the same result, just without the time wasted. Sadly, this means that ships are nothing more than glorified fast travel hubs, only useful during the odd encounter or two with pirates and spacers. You're not even given the illusion of doing a proper space landing, as it'll just play a cookie-cutter cutscene just on different planets. So if you were expecting a game where you travel from one planet to another with exciting adventures in between, you were sorely mistaken. To be fair, Starfield does have a sense of scale when it actually wants to, and it's very immersive. You'll see these large derelict space stations just floating around, while a planet lingers in the background, beckoning you to approach them. But once you're reminded of how travel works again, the immersion just breaks off completely. Playing on the Xbox Series S, which was supposed to have lower visual fidelity than the Series X, we were surprised with how detailed the game still was when it came to models, decals, shadows, and lighting. Major settlements in Starfield like New Atlantis and Aquila City were impressive, but when it comes to the design aspect of the game, there are issues. First of all, there isn't anything punk about Starfield's purported NASA punk aesthetic. It has a very retro and almost out-of-date 1980s perspective on what they imagine the future would look like. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but there's still a right and wrong way to go about this. Bethesda handled it rather poorly with how flat and dry and grossly antiquated it all looks. Let's take the pleasure city of Neon, for example, which is supposed to be a cyberpunk corporate hellhole on a kind of oil rig. When you get in, the design doesn't feel cyberpunk at all. It's a safe and sterile kind of cyberpunk that falls short of actual cyberpunk aesthetics. Outside the major settlements, there's no way to tell the difference between one space settlement from the other. People may argue that in the future, they'll use standardized buildings for ease of construction. But settlements should still have some sort of personality that makes it unique, even if it had been standardized. But instead, we have copy and pasted environments.
Not used to people coming up to me.
The voice acting in Starfield is very good. Somehow, Bethesda managed to implement their dialogue encounters between ships, and although you can't see the NPCs since you're using the comms to broadcast the conversation, they still managed to deliver fun encounters.
You're signing up with the Crimson Fleet. That's if you get through this little task I have planned for you.
Kudos as well to the actors who played the members of Constellation. A lot of them can become your companions, and as a result, you'll spend a lot of time with them. Characters like Sarah and Barrett make your bland fast travel exploration a little more bearable.
Mom, this means we are in agreement.
Although the voice acting is great, the soundtrack composed by Inon Zur is so depressingly generically sci-fi that it might as well not be there. The OST is filled with numerous Space Odyssey-esque songs that just have a hard time leaving a memorable impression. The soundtrack was so bland and forgettable that, from beginning to end, not even one track stuck out. If you haven't bought this game yet, don't. Not for full price at least. Get it on Game Pass if you can. Starfield is a good and largely bug-free looter shooter crossed with space exploration. However, it could have been something much better, were it not hobbled by its dry and generic art style, a flawed and non-immersive exploration system, and an unsatisfying main story. That's why we're rating this game a 6. For a game hyped by many as the studio's magnum opus, Bethesda really should have used a new game engine, one that would have allowed for seamless interplanetary and intersystem spaceflight. But hey, it being open to the modding community will likely be the game's saving grace. There's a decent blank, and we mean blank, slate of base here, and it can be built up to be something much greater. Given time, modders might just make Starfield one of the best exploration games of the decade. But enough about what we think. What do you guys think about Starfield? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. For more video game news, reviews, and opinion pieces, sub to the channel. Give us a like if you liked it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.